Well, I'm joined via video conference from New York by John Bird, who's the Executive Director for Retail of VML. John, thanks very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.
Slightly earlier you went onto the streets of New York, near your office, which also happens to be very near one of the biggest grossing Whole Foods stores, and also a new Amazon bookstore. So let's hear what the hardy New Yorkers had to say.
I think it's great for Amazon. They don't traditionally have retail locations, right? So for them to have actual storefronts will be a huge step forward for Amazon as a company. In addition to breaking into the food space a little bit more, right now Amazon has Amazon Fresh and pantry boxes, but I think that the type of food that Whole Foods offers will bring a lot to Amazon as a company.
It'll make shopping for groceries it'll make it easier, and I don't usually shop for groceries, so when I do, it's like a big trip out, and if it can make it easier for me, that's great.
The internet's going to be putting out a lot of companies out of business. It's going to be putting them in a bad situation. That's just what's happening.
We don't shop anymore. We do everything online.
Yeah, I try to avoid stores at all costs. So I think it's going to happen regardless. And I mean, they're just getting on the forefront, so good for them.
I think the jury's still out on whether or not it's a good or bad thing. It's obviously a shakeup in the market in terms of buying produce or whatever it is from the supermarket. So I'm not exactly sure what the difference is, because I mean, we live in New York, so it's a little bit different than if you were living in more of a suburban or rural area.
I'm eager to kind of participate and see, because in my neighborhood we don't have a lot of like good neighborhoods where we can get good food, so I feel like it'll help target healthier eating in my neighborhood.
It would be cool if Amazon did like the Amazon groceries, but with Whole Foods, like their actual like food and like available like items.
The amount of data that Amazon will collect on all of us will be even more than it is right now, which is something interesting to think about.
If they put the money behind it and they stay, like they farm locally, I think that'd be really awesome. You know, if they can stay local, I think that'd be great. I think maybe having the name Amazon partner with another big name, Whole Foods, will sort of change the way that the industry works.
Other grocery stores will have to compete price-wise, speed in getting groceries to you. I mean, just the way that Amazon has really changed how people buy everyday home goods. It looks like they could do that with food as well, so everybody else will have to kind of step up to compete.
So John, overall, pretty positive reception.
Yeah, we were surprised that there wasn't any of the negativity that showed up in social media with some fringe groups anyway, or fringe fans of Whole Foods who were worried about Amazon. But definitely when we were on the streets of New York, outside Columbus Circle, the shops at Columbus Circle with Whole Foods in the basement and Amazon on the third floor, it was overwhelmingly positive. People thought it was a great thing. It would be a great thing for retail, and it'd be a great thing for Whole Foods to bring those two brands together.
Now, John, talking about retail in general, and I suppose the fusing of those two worlds, the virtual world and the physical world. I mean, it is possible to go to all those stores near your office, visit them all, and not actually realise we were in a digital world at all.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is amazing, isn't it? In 2017, that a lot of retail really hasn't caught up. I think that is changing, though. I think there's been a lack of investment in bringing physical retail into the digital world, and perhaps a lack of skill in some traditional retail organisations. But there's an incredible amount of focus on it now. And do
you think that the Amazon Whole Foods acquisition, if it takes place, is going to quicken the pace of that happening?
Yeah, it will. It will accelerate things. Already, the clients that I speak with are looking at how to pick up the pace. I mean, they can see the Amazonizing of US retail and also other markets around the world, but definitely here. And the challenge is on to pick up the pace and correct course.
Now, John, there's a major assumption, really, that Amazon is going to be a rip rolling success. They don't really know much about physical stores at all. What do they know about retailing?
Well, they know a lot about retailing. I mean, they are one of the big success stories in retail overall over the last 20 years, if not the biggest success in the US. You're right, they don't know a lot about physical retail. They've got half a dozen stores. They've got a couple of experiments in Seattle, which are interesting experiments. But, you know, that's why they bought Whole Foods, to get into grocery, but also to expand their physical footprint. And instantly overnight, they get access to 460 additional locations, plus a lot of knowledge about how to run physical stores. And then if you can bring their skill in removing friction from the shopping experience with Whole Foods' skill in understanding grocery and the logistics of physical retail, well, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, John Bird from VML, for the moment, thank you very much. We'll be back with you a little bit later on.